Hello, I'm Kimberly Miller, and I want to thank you for joining this transparent moment. Together, we'll navigate through a miracle, a devastation, and healing as our guest reveals her truth. Today, CHENILLE Staton has a story to tell. The story begins in 1995. CHENILLE, why was 1995 such a notable year for you?
Well, it was such a notable year for me because I had my first daughter. And at the same time of finding out that I was pregnant with her, I found out that I was diagnosed with lupus. However, going to the hospital, not able to walk on one leg and able to lift one arm and not the other, I also found out I was pregnant. I ended up going to a rheumatology doctor. They seen me and they had patients that they, continually to see. But nevertheless, with me, I only seen them one time. And then I end up in the hospital having my daughter. I stayed in labor with her for 3 days. She was born Easter morning. And after that, I end up going to the doctor again for, follow up. Once I got there, the doctor embraced me with her arms and began to say, "Wow, I am so glad that you're okay."
And your daughter's name?
Diquasia LaShawn Staton. That's her name.
And did the doctors say that you being diagnosed with lupus would affect the birth of your daughter at all?
Well, no. They never had a chance to give me that information because, again, I went to the emergency room because I was hurting. I worked at Purdue Company. They do chicken or whatever. I was in Tenderloin, and the cold weather flared up. When you're pregnant, if you have any issues in your body that's going on, it's going to flare up. It's going to make you aware that this is what's going on in your body. So with me, with being pregnant with her and not knowing, I end up going to the hospital with these symptoms, and they sent me to a specialist. So when I go to the specialist, yes, it ended up being, "Oh, you have lupus." And no one around me knows about lupus
And
at that time.
what was going through your mind when you were told that you would be diagnosed with lupus?
Really, I was nonchalant about it at the time because I didn't know what it was. And as time went by, my mother began to tell me she know, "Oh, well, your aunt that's related to me on my father's side, they said she had lupus," but that still wasn't enough for me because I still don't know what it is. But overall, going to the doctors and finding out that I'm pregnant and finding out that I'm diagnosed with lupus, here I am pregnant at 6 months and not, knowing.
So you found out at 6 months.
I was 6 months pregnant.
Wow.
Didn't know it.
Wow.
And at 6 months pregnant, I didn't know I was pregnant, and and I'm like, okay, and go from there. Then I was able to see a regular, physician, and the regular physician sent me to a specialist, which was Dr. Helen Harmon back then. So I seen her once, and I end up in between that visit going into labor, early labor.
While you were seeing the doctor for lupus?
Yes. So she only seen me one time.
Wow.
Mind you, finding out that I was pregnant and having a baby, it ended up being like, okay, I'm going through this process and I'm in the hospital. I don't know what's going on.
No one gave you like a due date? You just went and that was the time for you to have the pregnancy?
I definitely had a due date.
Okay.
Okay, so the due date was given to me at the hospital because they did a pregnancy test and they gave me around about the time.
Right.
So
But at that time, did they say Easter?
No.
No, they didn't say Easter.
It just happened.
Okay.
So that, to me, because I'm a believer in God, I'm a believer in the risen of Christ.
Right.
Everybody is not, but I am.
Right.
So with that being said, I end up going in labor early. I went in labor with her right about in the middle of 7 months, 28 weeks to be exact.
Okay.
And I go into labor, and she was born Easter morning.
Easter morning. And how did that feel for you? Because that's just such a like prominent day to be born Easter.
It's really like, to me, I got a miracle baby.
Right.
You know, with my belief and my faith, I have a miracle child.
Right.
You know, to be born on Easter,
Right.
to me, that
Out of
meant
all days.
everything.
Right.
Yeah. So after service, because you know, people get dressed up, they go to church and do
Right.
what they do for Easter. But at the same time, I'm in the hospital having a baby, trying not to have a baby because she was going to be born too early.
Okay.
So, in between that, I had Dr. Helen Harmon. She prescribed me a medicine which is called prednisone.
Okay.
In between me taking prednisone, I had phone calls saying, "Oh, that's a dangerous medicine. You don't need to be on that medicine."
And what were the dangers of taking?
Prednisone actually causes a lot of different side effects. It causes bone deterioration. It causes effects of your liver. It causes effects of your heart. It just affects your body in general.
Right.
But it also, what it does, it shuts down your immune system, and it works for your immune system versus immune system working for itself. So I was on that particular medicine.
And that was just to help with the pregnancy, or was that something to do with lupus?
It was definitely something to do with lupus,
Okay.
but by the grace of God, it was something that helped with the pregnancy.
Okay.
Because me going into labor with her at an early term
Right.
ended up being that me getting diagnosed with lupus
Right.
and living through it at the age of 19 saved her life.
Saved her life.
Saved her life because it developed her lungs. It's a steroid
Okay.
that when you give it, it is a good medicine that will help you, but as all medicine do, it has a side effect.
Right.
So the side effect, thank you, God, that I haven't dealt with a lot of at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I deal with now, but nevertheless, with her, it developed her lungs. So when she was born early, she was born where her lungs was developed and she was able to live.
More than it would normally be if you had not taken.
I definitely agree with what you're saying. If it wasn't for that, I don't even know if my baby would have lived as long as she did.
And so that's not something hereditary where it didn't pass down to Daquasia at all.
No.
Lupus.
No, she didn't have lupus at all. What happened was, okay, so I go into Dr. Harmon's office, and I, talk to her. She sees me, she diagnosed me, and so on. All right. When I have my child, which was on Easter morning, the next visit with her, she runs to me and embraced me.
The doctor.
The doctor embraced me, saying to me, "I am so glad that you're okay." I'm not comprehending like why it's such a big deal that I'm okay. Like,
Yeah, what was the skepticism about? Why was she so happy to see that you were okay? Was there any doubt in her mind where she thought that maybe you wouldn't be okay?
It was because of the fact that there was a patient that she had that had been diagnosed with lupus before me. And when she got diagnosed, she planned her pregnancy.
Okay.
I didn't.
Plan it. Yeah, right.
I didn't know
6
I
months.
was pregnant. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know I had lupus. I didn't know I was pregnant or none of that. So when she seen me and seen that I was okay, she was very happy.
Right.
Because this other patient, she actually had been going to Dr. Helen Harmon, planned her pregnancy, had her baby at 8 months,
And had lupus?
and had lupus, and was being treated.
Okay.
Her baby died.
Okay.
She was still in
So
the
I
hospital.
see where the concern is now
Yeah.
from the doctor.
Definitely.
Right.
So that's
and even
why.
more to put a bow on the fact that this would be a miracle child. Easter Sunday isn't diagnosed with lupus,
Nothing.
and then the patient before that the doctor had lupus,
Exactly.
right, or passed away.
Right. So the child of the mother passed away, but the mother was inside of the hospital very sick.
Okay.
However, when I left the hospital, I'm perfectly fine.
And your child is as well.
My daughter actually stayed in ICU for a few days, came out, but she had to stay at the hospital to get her weight up.
Okay.
Other than that, she didn't have
Just
any
from
issue.
being born premature, which is
Yeah,
quite
the
normal.
regular,
Right.
procedure or whatever you have to go through with that.
So tell me more about Daquasia. What was her character like? You've had this miracle baby. You got past lupus, at least her being diagnosed with it. What was her character like?
Daquasia was, at a young age, she was nonchalant type little girl. She loved the Lord. She loved God because that's what I brought her up in. And I would see times where she would be with her brothers in their room, and then when she want to come away, mommy.
You see where she wanted to come in and what? What was something that made what stand it out to you where you said she's in love with the Lord? What was that moment for you? And take your time. It's okay.
Okay, so just seeing her as a child and walking into the room with me. And at that time, she didn't know everything that her mother was going through. Her mother was going through a lot. And
What were you going through?
Domestic violence, abuse,
And lupus. So domestic violence, abuse, lupus, and your child is just someone who just navigated naturally towards the Lord from some of your teachings.
definitely. So she will have on her little nightgown and come, and I'm just in the room by myself, and we'll be watching TV, and in my head, I'm just waiting for the dad to walk through the door or whatever, because as a young mother, you get into these positions and you're not looking for ahead of what you're putting your kids through at the same time, but your kids see a lot. You see a lot.
Right.
And out of all my kids, she's seen a lot. And she would come into the room and she would have her pillow and her nightgown, and she would have a Bible. And she would lay on the floor in front of the TV. Back then we had a big screen TV, floor models. It wasn't on the wall, it was on the floor. So she would do that, but yet she was not looking at the TV, but she would be like she's reading. I don't know if she was actually understanding it, but yet that's what she done. So she was a special child, definitely. She knew my deepest secrets, and
And is that something you wanted her to know? But just being around, she knew.
just being around, she knew, because I kept her right here. Even if I felt like I want to go alone, I was never alone. I spent many nights in the hospital dealing with lupus. And every night, mostly every night, she was there.
And I feel like, did you make that connection with her being so in tune with the Bible, always carrying it around her, and then being born on Easter Sunday?
Wow. With that always been special for me. Always connected, in a spiritual format for me. that this is my miracle child. And when I talk to God now, I'm saying, God, she was my miracle child, and now she's my angel.
So as she grew up, what were some of the goals that Daquasia told you she had for herself?
She always wanted to be an entrepreneur. She always wanted to have her own. And one of her most things that she indulged in mostly was making sure mommy was okay, making sure I was good. I was dealing with lupus,
Right.
didn't even know how.
And other factors as well.
Exactly.
Right.
I have to say this, but it was one time where, her dad wasn't a faithful person, and me, I wasn't who I am today.
Right.
And I was kicking doors down.
Right.
You cheating, I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
And I remember one day she saying to me as we was walking, and she said, Mom, if you do this, you know better than he is. And that day stopped me from kicking doors down. And
She said, so if you do this,
as far as going after this, her father, her dad, and trying to, so you cheating and this, that, and the other, and going to people's houses and stuff like that, because I know he was there. She's seen all that. She's seen the good. She's seen the bad. She's seen the ugly, But that day changed me. It allowed me to say, if my child, my baby, because she was a girl, the only girl out of the bunch, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay, I hear you, God. And I stopped it from there.
and you say out of the bunch, so how many children do you
I have 3 kids.
3 kids.
Daquasia, LaShawn, Staten, Daquavon, Laquan, Pender, and Daquez, Levon, Pender.
Okay.
So I have 3 kids. But my boys are, we're very close. But my daughter was like my right hand. Not saying I pick one over the other.
Right.
It's never that. I have to cater to the one that needs to be catered to at the time. Mm-hmm. And you got so much going on in the world. So at the end of the day, she was just always at this leg.
You're right.
I pat this leg because my baby was always at this leg.
Right.
So
you talk about her goals. What is Daquasia's story? We know that she's a miracle child, but what is her story, and what are you really here to tell us today?
Well, what I'm really here to say is I feel like in my heart, I know God has the last say of everything. Mm-hmm. But there's mistakes that can be made that changes stuff. You know what I'm saying? It puts us in a situation whether this is right or this is wrong or this just meant to be or this was going to happen anyway. And I don't want to hear none of that. All I want to know is why. And that why would never be answered. You get what I'm saying? When it comes to hurt, you will never get an answer when it comes to something deep as that, why you lost this person.
And deep as what?
And deep as losing my child to negligence from doctors, the ones that have.
So take us back a second here. So you just told us that you lost your child by possible malpractice from doctors.
Not possible, definitely malpractice.
So take us to the day. Take us to the day. And why was she in the hospital, I'm assuming? Do you remember that day? Do you remember the month? Do you remember the year? Fill us all in on the details of that as best as you can and as much time as you need.
Okay. So, out of the blue, I began to start a new journey in my life. And along with that journey, my daughter was a part of it. She helped me, and we worked as a team in a lot of things. My daughter was,
What was your daughter?
she was
I
a
know
great,
she was on that leg. I know that.
she was great with detailing things, like finding out information. If I, for one, I was on the road, I traveled, with business, and throughout doing that, I was able to communicate with her as I went, you know, doing what I'm doing, and we had a journey that we wanted to go on, and we was gonna move from out of North Carolina, where we're from.
So
And
just you and your daughter were gonna move.
yes,
Okay.
I already knew my sons did not want to know leave North Carolina. Those knuckleheads, they love where they from.
Okay.
So I respect that. But me and her, we was making, transactions mentally and through phone and whatever it came to say, okay, we're doing this. Mom, I found this. Mom, how about this? Mom, So we had plans, we had real plans to be together. We was already together. I just wasn't there present at that moment, like in her face, but we did things together. Most people would say they call us two peas in a pot.
Right. So
She-
you plan to move
Hmm.
together. Okay.
Yeah, out of state together.
Okay. And how old was Daquasia at this time?
20.
She was 20 years old.
Hmm. And her goal before she left here was to be a flight attendant.
Okay.
And unfortunately, of course, that didn't happen. But nevertheless, we had plans to relocate and go from there. In between that, oh, I get a phone call. Mom, don't text me. Don't call me. Text me. I'm not feeling good. I don't know what was the not feeling good was.
What were you feeling at that moment when you got the text?
It wasn't a text. It was like we was communicating.
Okay.
And she was like, I'll just call you back. It was like a quick phone call.
A quick phone call.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that happened that particular day. And after that happened, she ended up texting me.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, don't call me, just text me because I can't talk. So I can't talk went to, she's in the hospital because her mouth is swollen. All right, so I'm still working because I'm traveling. I'm on the road. I'm not far from home. I think I was like 3 hours from Greensboro to North Carolina. And I'm sitting there and I'm, just thinking everything is fine.
So you hadn't moved together to make that merge and the new journey you guys were.
We didn't
gonna
even
do.
get to that.
Didn't get to it. So why did she say that? Did she say that her mouth was swollen? Why the reason was her mouth was swollen, or
She had a toothache.
she had a toothache? Very common.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was very, as I am, scared of dentists. She didn't, want to go to them. But it got so severe for her, her mouth swole, she goes to the hospital.
Right.
Hospitals, okay, that's fine, but they're not the same as going
Right.
to a dentist. But she didn't know the difference.
Yeah. Maybe they could have given her something to treat it, but not necessarily cure it, to subdue some of the pain if she was in any, and then refer her to a dentist.
That didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
That didn't happen at all. What happened to my baby, I wish would never happen to anyone else. I have heard of it happening to someone personally that I know, and it's not fair. What happened was we had to separate dentists from doctors. And I don't know how that works with them.
It's
And
they're
each other?
specialists.
Yeah.
They specialize in this area here, the mouth,
Yeah.
and doctors do not.
Mm-mm. But however, this doctor wanted to be a dentist that day and chose my child to pull her tooth with multiple,
maybe abscesses or
multiple access on her mouth. So I spoke to the doctor personally after going up there, and the equation had to be in restraints because of the fact that her airways was...
And what do you mean with restraints? I saw you pull your hands out
So, each rail, you got a rail on each side of your bed. She was tied down. More like imprisonment, but not imprisonment. So they would say to protect her from herself. So if I was there and other family members that she really, really was close to, those restraints would come off. So because we can keep her calm, you know. So it went to the point in my head that I only went that one time, because after that one time when I actually came off the road, she was able to come home, you know. But by that time, the damage already been done.
What damage are you?
They actually poured her tooth.
They pull her tooth.
I spoke to the doctor because I communicated with them.
So she went in because she was having a toothache.
Mm-hmm.
We think that she should have just been referred to a dentist and maybe given some medication. But they said, no, we're going to operate further, and we're going to pull your tooth.
My baby, actually, the last time I seen her making not texting me or her grandmother, my mother, she actually ended up saying, I'm going into emergency surgery. Emergency surgery to me...
Is that when you came to the hospital?
After.
You came after the surgery?
After the surgery. Because I didn't see it right away. So it wasn't at that time.
Okay.
So when I get this whole message on Facebook, people have to be careful with that. You don't know who know what, or family members know this or that or whatever.
So she sent it through Facebook?
She didn't send anything. Someone else did. She has a boyfriend that lived in the county of the hospital that she went to.
Okay.
So his sister began to put a post up and say, pulled through Quay.
And
that's how
what you
I
saw.
find out what's going on.
So there was no text to you from her? She was already going forward with the procedure?
Yeah.
You saw that message on Facebook from her boyfriend's sister,
Mm-hmm.
and then you said...
I definitely
Then what did you say? What did you do next after you saw that?
I kind of went crazy. I'm working on the road at that time. I'm hopping out of the vehicle that I'm in, and I'm just calling any and everybody, like, oh, what is going on with my baby? I'm in a front, like, I'm just not myself, and I'm fussing, yes, and cussing, and I'm going off.
And this is such a vague comment to make on Facebook.
Yeah, she put a picture up. Gwen put the picture up saying pull through Quay. But the thing is, Gwen, which is her boyfriend's sister, and then there was the mother, and there was the grandmother, but nobody called me. And I'm on the road. I'm thinking my baby is fine. Don't get it twisted. If she wasn't, I would have been there where she was at.
Right.
I'm just waking up.
You're out of the loop.
Yeah. I'm just, because she already said to me, Mom, I can't talk, just text me.
Right.
So I already knew she had a toothache. I'm not thinking no toothache is this.
Yeah, right.
It's going to lead to
this
me
extreme.
I'm not thinking that. So it ends up going to, one of the drivers was driving, and I hops out in the van. I'm not thinking about them. I'm not thinking about what we're doing. All I'm thinking about is what's the heck going on with my baby.
Right.
And why are you putting this on Facebook?
Right.
and not even communicating with me.
Right.
You know? So, yes, I was angry. And yes, I cussed, fussed, whatever, to everyone that I spoke to because it didn't make sense to me. So, when I finally was able to get to where she was at, she was in restraints. They had her tied down from one rail to another. And that was just that one day when I was there. You couldn't stay overnight. You couldn't stay there. Like, you had to come in and leave, like, unless you slept in the lobby or whatever.
Did they say why she was in restraints?
Because of the fact that Dr. could feel everything that happened to her.
Right.
If you're
I don't
pulling,
understand there wasn't any medicine that kind of relaxed her, or
definitely, you would think that that's what would have been done. But at the end of the day, Dr.
they're not dentists.
they wasn't even playing the position they supposed to play and didn't even allow the people that's supposed to been doing what needed to be done to be there.
Right.
Dentists is supposed to been there doing what they supposed to do, but the doctors took it upon their hand. Let me say this, and I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. We, brown people, us, we have a lot that's in us that's so valuable. My daughter was 20 years old. She had no right to leave this earth at that age with no health issues. Just a
The
toothache. And you go into the hospital
Yeah.
and you die? That's not fair. That's not fair. But it's just not my daughter.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people.
Who share the same situation that you're in. It's a lot of people who share the same story. Now you tell me, do you need a second?
I'm okay.
Well, you're not okay, but you're extremely brave and courageous to share this story, to take yourself back to a moment, a very painful moment, for the healing of yourself, but also anybody else who's watching that can relate. I'm appreciative that you have me here, and I'm sure anyone listening is just as appreciative, if not more.
If we have a position in life, whether that position is to be a mechanic, a sales clerk, or as who you are right now, or me sitting in this seat, we don't need to take it for granted. We don't know what it does to the next person. And what they did to my daughter and others, I'm just speaking about mine, but that's just her. It's been many. It's been many. And it's been looked over, and it's been okay because nobody else knows what to do. No one knows who to turn to. No one knows if they need to seek help or someone to speak out or whatever. No one knows because they keep shit from us. You get what I'm saying? They keep things from us where we can't do what we want to do. It's only a level of certain stuff that is needed to be like, okay, this one, I got it for them. Us, it ain't. It ain't.
And you're saying that as
I'm
far as
saying
me.
that in my heart, Daquasia was a healthy 20-year-old girl. Healthy, right? She went into Greensboro Hospital, right?
And stop us there. You go into Greensboro Hospital. You come in and you see her, and she's in restraints. What do they tell you? Do you
They
see
take
her?
it off.
Do you see her?
I see her and they take it off because of the fact they said if it's not people that she know that's there, she fights to pull the tools and stuff out. That's where I was saying where she actually feels all the pain, all of that. And that's the stuff
How
that
did you know
taunts
that she
me.
was feeling the pain?
It's common sense.
Okay.
She is in restraint. She's awoke. She's not on no ventilator. She's just on a breathing machine.
Right.
And she's aware of what's going on around her.
Right. So did you get to speak with her?
Yes,
Did you get to talk to her?
we do video calls when I wasn't even there because they wouldn't even allow you to be in there.
How long was she in the hospital?
Okay, so the process with this was when she actually went into the hospital, she was there and they took her into this emergency surgery. And then after the emergency surgery, it ended up being where, okay, she here, we done messed up. That's what I'm just going to keep it real. This is what I'm saying. They probably thinking, we done messed up. Okay, we're going to do this. What they did was they put her on a breathing machine and her airways had swollen. At this time, other body parts allegedly wasn't affected. So she's on the breathing machine. She's not on a ventilator. Mm-hmm. Ventilator, you're more like in a coma type. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So she wasn't there. She wasn't like that. So she could see the people that's in there. She could see who come and seeing her. Mm-hmm. So that made me believe she could see what they're doing to her.
And feel.
She can feel what they're doing to her. That stuff taunts me. That my baby had to go through that pain. And mommy wasn't there to take it away. Right. You know?
So what did they tell you on that?
Well,
on that day.
At one point when I wasn't actually at the hospital and talking to the doctor, he plain as day said to me, well, your daughter came in here with a toothache and she had multiple abscesses. Where I'm from, where she from, and where it happened at, that's against the law. A dentist is a dentist. A doctor is a doctor. Why would you take a 20-year-old child, still a child, basically, to a room to pull her tooth with multiple abscesses?
You're right.
The process is, I know this. I don't have a degree in none of that, but I know this. You do x-rays. After the x-rays, if they have abscesses, you give them antibiotics. If the pain is severe, you give them pain medicine and antibiotics. Then you bring them back, do x-rays again, and make sure it's straight.
Right.
And then you do the tooth pulling. Sad part about all of this that we're talking about today,
skip the first steps.
My son just went into the dentist a month ago. And they was about to do the same thing. This is the dentist now, not the doctors. They said, oh, we can't pull his tooth. He got an abscess. Why wasn't the x-ray done before that?
So they didn't end up pulling it for your son?
Did they? You saying, you're asking me?
They didn't.
No. No.
Right.
He didn't let him. He was all confused and his mindset went back to his sister.
Right.
Which is, you know, if I'm traumatized by the loss of my daughter, my kids was thick as thieves.
Right.
They was 3 and they stuck together. So losing one of them, So with them losing, you know, a piece of them, I have to also look at the fact that my kids going through this just as well as me.
Right.
And I try to make them aware of those things. I want to make everybody aware. I have a friend, and you can call them a family member that lost their mom years ago with the same thing. The same thing. It's not okay. It's just not okay.
So when you got the news about Daquasia's passing from the doctor, what did you say?
I didn't get the news from the doctor.
Okay.
Daquasia came home. They called me.
So she was admitted out the hospital.
She was, by the grace of God, she was admitted from the hospital. Daquasia came home, and she was able to spend some time with us. That was God giving us time with her. Because my baby system already been poisoned from that abscess. You know what I'm saying? So, help me, God. When Daquasia went into the hospital, and they said that she had, in this state that where she was on a ventilator, and she could not breathe on her own because her airway was swollen. After them saying that her airway was swollen, they gave her to that Friday, which would have been a week.
Gave her what?
A week for the swelling to go down.
Okay.
Swelling didn't go down. So then they asked me, the next step is, can we put a trach in her throat for her to survive?
And what is that? What is?
It's a trachea in your throat. It goes with it, 'cause it goes with your airways.
Is it a tube of a sort?
It's a tube.
Okay.
It's actually a tube. You know, your trachea,
Right.
or you speak through, whatever. So they put that in her. They made a mistake of putting her tooth with an abscess. Then they made the mistake not even doing that right. So she dealt with that. She dealt with having a trach in her throat, and it still wasn't, done the correct way. So time went by. After 3 days that they did that, my baby was ready to come home. I'm thinking everything's fine. I was on the road. I go home. Daquasia good. She's with me. She's with her brothers, my mom. Everybody's okay. Nobody's thinking nothing going on or anything. So, again, I travel, on the road. I felt comfortable with going back on the road. Didn't know nothing was going on. I didn't know nothing was going to be.
You thought that she was in her healing process?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. So I go on the road and we travel. We end up in Huntsville, Alabama.
But Daquasia's at home, or?
She's at home.
Okay.
So I get a phone call on I want to say it was a Sunday, and my mother was like, Daquasia's not feeling good, so I told her to go to the hospital. So she goes to Vidant Hospital in North Carolina, Greenville. So she goes there, but somehow they turn her away. When they turn her away, she goes home, of course. She's still not feeling good. And she goes back to the exact same hospital that put her in that predicament anyway. So my thoughts are,
For lack of options.
she had no what it. She just kept trying.
Right.
So her boyfriend, grandmother, Miss Gwen, she was with her at that time. And my mother and my auntie Shirley, rest in peace, Aunt Shirley, was communicating with her as well as myself, but we was only communicating mostly through text because Daquasia came from getting the tube in her throat, they taking it out, closing her throat, and still breathing as if you would take a straw right now and put it in that cup, clip a hole in it, and keep trying to drink out of it. You're going to hear the whatever sound, right?
Right.
That's how she breathed.
Okay.
When she talked and tried to take a breath, that's how... That's how she breathed.
Right.
And so
she just be like, Mom, I got videos right now that I can't look at. So, and I never looked at, and it's been years. But she'd be like, Mom, I don't want to live like this. I don't like being like this.
Yeah.
They already done poison her system. They already done messed her up.
So she goes back to the hospital. Who pulled the tube? And then what happens?
They pretty much seen her and sent her back home. She went there at 8 o'clock from the report says between 8:15 and 8:30. She went there, and they sent her home. Within 2 hours later, she goes home, and then 1 in the morning, she dies.
At home.
Yeah.
Was she by herself?
She wasn't by herself in the house, but in the room, she was getting up.
And she shouldn't have been sent home.
No. Her boyfriend, grandmother, Miss Gwen, and I know this lady loved my daughter. She loved her. I know she did. And she begged them to keep her. Even with my mother and my aunt, which was like, my backbones, if I'm not there, they're going to do whatever. Mm-hmm. She told them, like, don't let her go home. Y'all need to keep her. When she went to Vidant Hospital, I felt like they sent her away because of the fact that they seen somebody messed up something.
They didn't want it on their hands.
They didn't want it on their hands.
But weren't they the ones that gave her the machine to help her breathe, and they pulled it was all under the same
It was
hospital?
two different hospitals. She was in Greene County, Greensboro Hospital is where everything happened at.
Initially.
But Vidant Hospital is right up the street from my mother's house. So when she was feeling bad, that's where she went. And after going there, she went back to home, which is, so that was the next hospital to go to. Like, how do you pick where you're going to go?
Right.
When it comes to doctors?
Right.
How do you pick what emergency room to go to? How do you pick, I choose this doctor, I choose that one? How do you...
You're hoping that everybody's qualified, everybody's certified, everybody has the grades that pass.
They took the oath.
Right.
They took the oath, and now it's like me. It turns to me like I'm dealing with health issues. I get afraid. I ask my fiance, don't let them do this, don't let them do that, ask questions. And we do that with each other, because how do you be afraid of your doctors? Right. How? Us. How do we be afraid of your doctors?
And there's a lack of trust there.
Ain't none. It's not a lack. It's just none. You got to pray and trust God and believe that he's the one, because he is reality, is the one that has it all, the last say for me. I don't know what no one else believes. I'm talking about me, that has the last say. But at the end of the day, you still have that anxiety. You're fearful. You don't know what's going to happen next. It's just, you try to move forward and say, I'm feeling so bad, I don't have no choice, and you just go with the flow. And going with the flow can sometimes lead you in a bad place. Reality.
So, in that moment, it was 1 a.m. Where were you?
When Daquasia passed away, I was in Huntsville, Alabama. I was working, and I remember coming in that night, and one of a close friend, well, you might as well say a brother to me, was there, and other people that was in my surroundings that I'm close to was there, and I always put my headphones in my ear during that time. I did, and I would just listen to music. And I remember listening to that music, and I remember my phone ringing. And I'm like, yeah. So my phone rang, and it was her boyfriend's sister that called me. And
The one
all-
who posted the Facebook.
the one that posted at Facebook. She called me then. And she said, put in Quake on. That's all I remember. I kind of remember little pieces, but for the most part, I remember the ride home. The ride home was bad. It was bad because of the predicament I was put in to get there and how it happened. And I wanted everything to be a dream. And it was hard.
And it was hard. And so who did you lean on when it got hard?
But for the most part, I had to trust God more than anything. I had to trust Him. I had people around me that I felt in my heart that cared.
And are any of those names coming to mind? The people that
Well, um, my fiance, Matt, my brothers that was on the road with me, my mother, my kids, even though I wasn't where they was at, but the strength of their love was with me. A lot of people didn't understand why I made the moves that I made, but I put it completely all in His hands. And I said, God, you just got me. I remember this was kind of funny, but we was a phone book crew. And when I first started the journey of doing phone books, I didn't know what I was doing. I was starting something new in my life. Didn't know that this was going to be something that helped. To help me. And,
the phone book crew.
yeah.
What was the phone book crew?
Well, we travel from state to state, have fun, and deliver phone books from
Okay.
door to door. And I'm the only female out there. At first, I wasn't, and it just gradually grew
Wait,
into.
what is this? Is this the yellow pages?
Yes.
This the yellow
Yeah.
pages? Okay.
It's the yellow pages.
It is.
And right here with Daddy's Butter, that's where he began. That was, one of his business. And nevertheless, God gave me these people.
Right.
He put them in my life
Right.
for a reason. For me, here, now,
Right.
today, So I'm grateful for that because they're just not friends. They're my family. They are the ones that help me get through what I'm going through. It's a hard story to tell.
And Chanel, I know this story, like you just said, is a hard story to tell, but what made you feel like you should tell it?
Someone needs to know. Ask questions. Be there. Doctors are not always right. Be careful for nothing. And always trust and depend on God. I've been through some hard battles with just this one battle by itself. I don't know how to express to someone about losing a child, but I know people know about losing someone that they love, and they know that pain. I lost a lot of people within 5 years, back to back, back to back. But losing my baby, nothing has been more traumatic than that. And I don't know how to express that. Only thing I can say is it hurts. It's like one of the worst hurts I would wish on anyone. And I'm grateful for my support system. I'm grateful for the people that God put in my life. I'm grateful for just someone to say, it's okay. I'm here. We can do this together.
Right.
You know, I don't ever want to feel like I'm having someone for a crutch, because a lot of people do that. They find people to put in their life so they can use as a crutch to get through what they're going through. I'm okay with someone just loving me and being there and understanding me. I'm not perfect. Some days I'm mad. Some days I hate myself
But why would you?
because at every moment I think of what I could have done. And I know that's not right.
You know it's not.
And
fair.
I know, but I can't help that I'm just being raw and real. That's what I feel a lot of times. Like, maybe if you did that, you could have did this better or whatever. And I know I can't change anything. I can't. It is what it is. But I definitely can't help but to say that I wish I could.
Well, Chanel, to the listeners that may be able to relate to a similar story, maybe not a child, but the love of a lost one, and you today are here so courageously speaking your story, what would you tell them?
It's okay. It's okay when you're angry. It's okay when you need your space. It's okay to cry. It's okay to hurt, because we're not robots. We're human. And pain is pain. The Word of God said Jesus wept. When Lazarus died, he wept. It's okay to cry. Today ain't going to be my last tear. I may cry tomorrow. It would not be my last tear. It's just getting through it. We have to pray, seek God, and help one another. When you think that no one don't need you, somebody needs you. And you need someone else. And we can get through this together. It's definitely hard. It's hard. When I say it's hard,
It's hard.
it's hard. Sometimes you just want someone to like enter your body and feel what you feel so they can understand what you're feeling, but that you don't want no one to experience that pain. You don't want no one to experience what you're going through or what you're feeling at the moment. I'm just glad to be able to finally say, I lost my child. I wish my child was here. Unfortunately, she's not.
Chanel, your story, it touched me. And you can't all see, but I'm sure it's touched everyone in this room. It's coming to the screens of your homes. And because of your strength, people will be able to relate. Maybe they don't have anyone to talk to. Maybe they don't know how to go through this. But it takes you being courageous enough to share your story, to help heal yourself, further heal yourself,
Definitely.
and also the viewers.
I would say to anyone, when it comes to hospitals, doctors, primary care, wherever, ask questions. Be there for your family members. Not just sitting there looking like nothing's going on. Ask questions where they want to ask. If they feel like you're meddling too much, you don't know. You're saving someone else's life. You just don't know. No one is perfect. These doctors took oaths. They took oaths to take care of us. Some of them just don't care. This right here rebels. It's not money that's the root to evil. It's the love of money that's root to evil. And I just ask anyone that's out there that's listening, when you go, I'm going to say this. When Aquasia was alive, me being diagnosed with lupus, she was with me in my belly when I was diagnosed with lupus. But yet, every time I went to the hospital, Daquasia was with me. Mm-hmm. I got videos that I didn't even know she had. Mm-hmm. I have prayers that she prayed over me and written out that I didn't even know she done.
And you still have those?
I still have those. Mm-hmm. I just recently, probably a year or two ago, went past, looked on them. Look, be there for him. I tell my fiance right now, look, I don't want him to do this. I don't want him to do that. You know this, you know that. He'll tell me that's enough. Have someone with you when you go into these hospitals, even down to your doctor's appointment. When your mama's sick, go with her. When your daughter's sick, go with her. Your son's sick, go with him. Because we have to protect each other. Because at the end of the day, it's a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot of stuff going on that we don't know about. I can go deep into that, but I'm going to leave it alone. But it's a lot of stuff going on. So be careful for nothing and stay prayed up and stick with your family. Your loved ones, be up under them. Be up under them like never before. I'm grateful that my daughter was at my appointments. And every time I went into the hospital, I would look over there. Even as a teenager, she was right there. She was right there.
You sat on that leg. She was right there.
Always on their leg. She was. And she had, the sad part about it is that she has so many dreams. She had so much she wanted to do. And don't think that the devil ain't out there. Because with us, brown-skinned people, we install a lot in us. Believe it or not, I'm saying it, yes. I wouldn't even be able to tell you if my daughter was buried with organs or not. That's just being real. Just being real. Mm-hmm. How do you go into a hospital? And this is boldness. And I'm wiping away my tears.
And what you're speaking about
and I'm speaking on about my daughter and what I think. I'm just wiping away the tears right now. I don't even know if this is her speaking through me or what. But be careful for nothing. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
And so as we wrap up here, just your last message to those who can relate. And I know you spoke about it before, but leave them with something more on your heart.
To all the mothers out there that have lost a child, I feel your pain. That's always in my daily prayer. No mother, no parent should ever have to bury their child. It's a pain that's unbearable. You're going to find people that not going to understand why you holler or why you scream or why you just don't feel the same as you felt yesterday. It's okay. You get through it how you get through it. Don't ever let no one tell you how to grieve. It's a process. Yes, when they say it get better, it get better. I laugh at that. It's a daily process, but when it hits, it gets more intense. Seek God. Seek some peace. Pray. And understand that you are not alone. Build your foundation and get under some people that love you and understand you and what you're going through. Just simple. And you can make it. I'm here. After 7 years, I promise you, I drove from North Carolina to Florida, literally by myself, the week of my daughter's death. And I'm still here. And I made it. And so can you.
It was very beautiful. Thank you so much, Chanel, for your transparency. Literally, thank you so much for your strength. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And thank you.
I know that you helped a lot of people today.
I hope
as
that
well as myself.
yeah, I hope so, because this is real. This is reality. This ain't nothing script or nothing. This is real. Like, just because it happened to me, it could be you. It could be your family member. But you can be well acknowledged that this right here that's going on, you can do something about it. You can. You can ask those questions and say, nope, I already heard about that. I heard about that. And just do something about it. Stand up.
Right. Well, today we experienced miracles, a devastation, and healing. These are all commonalities that we share. Another commonality is a story to tell.